Good evening, students. Today we will be studying a new topic in writing skills, and this is something that you can find in all your subjects. And this is known as note making. As you know, when you go and sit in a class, you attend an important class, you find that the teacher is giving you a lot of information very quickly. Now, that is a limited time, but you would like to collect as much information for this. And so as a result, what do? You take notes. So whatever the teacher is saying, you write down in the form of short notes, and then you keep that with you so that you have it and you can look at it for your own understanding. So notes are something that we make for our personal use, and they're very helpful, especially when it comes to preparing for examination, or it comes to any kind of consultation or whatever you're going to use. But notes are definitely required. So in your 12th class syllabus, you have a question on the basis of note making. Now this is, you will be given a passage for about say roughly 600 to 700 words, and after those you have to make notes. When you say make notes, these are supposed to be done in very short words, in short and some how we make notes, how the technique of note making for our benefit. Now, these are unseen passages in your exam, and these passages are to the tune of 1,002 to find that with you. Marks bifurcation for this. Marks are for notes, that is the notes that you will be making, and 3 marks contribute towards the summary. Now, what is a summary? We will come to that shortly. I just want you to know that this is the marking scheme of the CBSE board exam. So, this is a question which can be very scoring. And the best part of this is that you don't have to use complete sentences. So it can actually work out to be a very scoring and extremely, it will help you gain marks in the exam. So let us look at this now. Now, I'm going to show you a photograph of what is required when you start making notes. What are the benefits and how we can use these note making techniques to our benefit. Now let us see this. These are some of the tips to prepare note making and to get a summary done. Now you need to read extensively. Remember one thing, unless and until you read properly what is being given to you in the passage for note making, you will not be able to make notes. If you do a rushed up job or if you use complete sentences, you will not score well. So obviously you want to score the best. So you have to take the key ideas. That is the most important idea. You will have a lot of surrounding points with the main point. So you have to take the key points here, and then you will have to make notes for this. So there is a passage I told you for about 1100, 1200 words, and how will you bring it to the basic, sort of shrink it. So now this is, as we see here, note making is a means to capture the key areas of a given passage and in a logically structured format. So this is to able to understand for the reader only why they are making the notes. So it can be, notes can be used anywhere. You can make notes for your class, you can make notes for your own study, even, revise for an exam. It can be done with the help of notes. Now let us see, what are the tips for making notes here? First of all, You have to make notes using phrases only, and never, you do not have to use complete sentences. Remember that. Now the topic sentence of each paragraph is the main point. That means when you are reading a paragraph, the main point will be expressed in the first two sentences itself rather than the first sentence. Then the next of the points can be used into making sub-points. I will show you how. Now when you are making these main points and sub-points, you should not make more than 4 to 5 sub-points. See, you are making notes, so it does not have to be the same thing as it is. Then each sub-point can have supplementary ideas, but it is not required. If it is repetition, you don't have to give examples to support the main ideas, because remember, these are notes and notes are supposed to be brief. Proper indentation is essential. Indentation is these. Did you see these little points here? These little round points that I made, these bullet points. This is known as indentation. Okay. After reading this, after reading the entire passage, you should know what title you want to give to this. And then you come to the question of abbreviations. When we make notes, there is something that we use which is known as abbreviation. Abbreviations are used in the sense that it prevents us from wasting time, and we just write a few words which will help us to understand the topic, and we know for this is like a small word we know, and then we just take out the full form when we are writing the actual answer. So for example, you may have seen WHO means World Health Organization, but we don't say World Health Organization, we just refer to it as WHO. And when we write it in capital letters with a dot between W and H and H and O. So that's how these abbreviations are used. They're recognizable. You can make your own abbreviations, but then you have to make a key also for the same. That means even if you are using WHO, then you should write in the key, that is, this is how it is. Example, you make a key for a map. Similarly, you have to make a key for this abbreviation also. You should not have more than 4 to 6 abbreviations. I have seen so many times students end up making at least, they write like half a page of abbreviations. Each word is abbreviated. You don't have to do that. You have to reduce it. Okay. You have to underline the short form, that is the abbreviation, and provide the key to abbreviations as we just discussed. Now you have to cover the important points, but the supporting points, if being repeated, you should not use them. You have to identify and club these ideas scattered in different paragraphs. Again, you may have said one point in one paragraph, the other point in another paragraph. That can be clubbed together in one main point. It doesn't have to be, and then organize your notes. Alright? So you have to make the notes very short and precise and phrases only. You have to make, having done this, now let us come to the next half of it, which is the summary. How are we going to make the summary? You will use the important main only 80 words. Now your first question will be, if it is a passage for 1100 words, how are we going to reduce it to 80 words? Very simple. Look at the main points you've made in the notes, and then you bring them into these complete sentences. So you have 4 sentences, maximum 5 to 6, and that's your summary. You don't have to write the entire passage in your summary. 80 words means 80 words, because you're wasting time. To attempt this question in the CBSE board exam, or even in any exam that you will be appearing for, make sure that you have written, you have to give yourself maximum 10 to 12 minutes, and you have a 3-hour time slot in which you have to attempt other questions also. So make sure you stick to the time frame. जो आपको समय दे रखा है एक प्रश्न को attempt करने का, उसी समय में रहकर उसको आप attempt कीजिए. Summary में use a third person indirect speech and write the summary in complete sentences. Now summary में आप complete sentences लिख सकते हैं, but not in the note making, when you are making note making. All right. Now we will come to the next part. See, note making happens when you do a lot of reading, and only if you are reading will you be able to complete it. If you are going to, sort of do it in a very chilled out manner, we don't have to work so hard, then you're obviously not going to end up making very good notes. Now I'm going to show you a passage. Now this is a solved example, so we can see it as guided practice. If you see this here now, this is a solved example. You can see this passage is lengthy. It has a lot of information, and it talks about a small village which has extraordinary temple and what are the features of this temple. So you have to read this passage in your video. You can pause and read it, but it describes what are the carvings, what are the various features of this particular place and how they have made these things. And it goes into great detail. But we don't have to look at it like that. What we will do here is that we will see the solved section of how this question has been attempted. Now if you look at this, they have solved the question here. This is what we mean when we talk about indentation. This is indentation, numbering and indentation. So they have taken various points and they have written the first main point, what is a detailed sculpture. Now here they talk about what are the different types of features in these sculptures. And in this particular point, they have further elaborated whatever they have said. Now, if we move this a little here towards, you see the other points are also here. These other points also tell you further information. And here you see the key to abbreviation. So they've given you 4 words and they've made abbreviations. They haven't used the entire passage to make a lot of abbreviations. They have done it only in this much time. So this is what note making is. If you see an 1100 page passage has been now reduced to only these many. And how have they made the summary? Let us have a closer look. It says write a summary of the notes prepared in not more than 80 words. So how have they used these 80 words? We can see it carefully. They have just taken the main points, that is point 1, point 2, highlighted it and made it into 4 complete sentences. This is an example for you. I will be putting on the WhatsApp groups the other activities and solved examples there for you to read and understand also. And at the same time, you will be getting worksheets for the same. Because once you get these worksheets, then only you can start attempting it. Doesn't matter if initially you feel a little challenged about it, but it's a very scoring activity, and if you do this, you will be able to score better. So I wish you luck, and again I will, for the brevity of concluding this class and at the same time to explain these points to you, remember one thing, reading is very important. So once you get your question paper in your hand, or whether your teacher gives you a worksheet, you have to start by first reading the question. So first understand what the passage is about, what the writer is asking. Alright, so this is the way you will be able to solve this question, this is the way you will be able to answer it. So thank you again.